looking ahead to the Seahawks game, how do you think that's going to look? What do you think we should be looking out for?
This one's a difficult one to track because which defense is going to show up? If it's the really good 49ers defense, then we got a chance no matter who we play. And certainly against Seattle, who just lost to the Bengals, put up only like 14 points all game. And they had some opportunities to put up more. Now, what's interesting is, despite them not being seen as exactly the biggest juggernaut passing offense, I would say this is the receiving core that tests our secondary the most. They might be the best receiving core in the league.
I think DK's out, though.
Oh, is DK out?
I think he's out for like a couple weeks.
Okay. I say when they're healthy, they are. Because if you look at DK, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, that is just a phenomenally talented receiving core. But I guess if DK's out, it's not quite the same. But you are dealing with a lot of talent, so you still got to look out for that. The Seahawks are a very good team. They're 4-2 as well. They just barely lost to the Bengals, so that's a little rough one for them to swallow. But they did beat the Lions. Like, they are a good team. They're no joke. This is the second year in a row where they're good, so it's not a fluke. You're going to have to really come in there and play tough. That defense is going to have to come in there and have one of their better games. And we're probably going to need that. And the big question is which Watson shows up. I do think he'll play. He was cleared to play in the middle of the game, so he should be playing now. The question is, who shows up?
What level do you see Deshaun Watson playing? I mean, if we're grading this as far as, where you think you'd be, meaning like the bottom being a backup quarterback to starter, to good starter, to franchise QB, to superstar. How do you think he plays against the Seahawks?
Well, one thing is I don't think he'll look quite as bad as he did at the beginning of the Colts game, because the one thing about that Colts game, again, processing was awful. But part of that is also he did not practice all week.
Yeah, but never mind. I was going to say, wasn't that pick one was really hard, but I think that was PJ Walker, right? Blackman, the guy with the safety, ran across like half the entire field to make that pick. I think that one was PJ Walker.
I think it was PJ. Yeah, he had one that was picked up, but it was not that crazy of a pick. It was he was right there. And then one that was dropped. It was a bit of fluke. That was not. Well, no, they didn't
complete that.
Under, but he didn't practice all week, and that can throw people off a lot more than some of us like to realize. Like, we forget about that. So he's going to practice all week,
especially because he's ramping up, right?
Seattle Seahawks defense is good. I'd probably put him at. I think he's sadly going to play similar level to what PJ Walker is playing at. Somewhat solid backup-y, but not much above that.
I think he's going to
I just hope he's got to cut out the mistake parts, because that we can't afford, because we haven't seen this offense play at a level to get over those.
Yeah. I disagree a little bit. I think Deshaun is going to be better than PJ Walker, obviously. I think he's going to be a little bit below, like over the course of the game. I think, he might come off a little bit weak, but I think over the course of the game, when it's done, I think we'll see him as a little bit below what he did against the Titans, because the Titans he was good against the Titans. 27-33, like that was a good game from him. I think a little bit below that, but I think he'll look like a starter again. I think against that team, provided he practices all week, because again, he's ramping up. He's trying to get back into things for a guy that hasn't played in a long time. Not, having a week of practice is not the same thing. Like, for the reason why veterans and things like that don't need that time is because they've been doing this forever. They can just walk right in and do it, but they also haven't been out of the game for 3 years. When you've been out of the game for a long time, 2-3 years, you gotta be in it. He's been back in football for less time than he was out of football.
And those veterans usually know that offense already. So, he hasn't mastered the offense yet, so you can't just...
Yeah, they're not new guys to the team, usually.
Yeah.
Right. Even if they're veterans, if they're new to the team, often they'll still show up for OTAs and extra things like that.
My prediction... Are we going to do predictions?
Yeah, let's do a prediction. If you got one.
Well, nobody's going to like me, but I'm picking the Seahawks to win 2017.
Yeah. I actually... Unfortunately, I'm in agreement with you. I do think they're going to lose... I don't want them to, obviously. But I think that win against the Niners, that win against the Colts, they got some help in both of those games. I think not karma, but I think their luck's going to run out. I think against the Seahawks. And the Seahawks are a decent team. They're capable of beating us. So it's already a game that was looked at as a toss-up. I think, and that combined with the Browns coming off these very emotional, very tight games where we got the favorable edge of luck, we got the favorable calls. I don't see that happening again against the Seahawks. I think it's going to catch up to us. I think the Browns are going to end up losing that game. I do think the defense as a unit, though, will come back. I think if the Browns win that game, and this will be very indicative of how good this defense really is, because something that from the great teams, like, and this goes for any sport pretty much, but for the great teams, when they get embarrassed, they come back with a vengeance. And if this Browns defensive unit is truly special, if they really are a special unit, and this was a fluke game, then next week against the Seahawks, they're going to be lights out against the Seahawks. So if that happens, if they come in and they keep the Seahawks under 14 points, I think the Browns will win that game, but obviously that's not much of a take to say if you keep the opposing team under 14 points, you're going to win. But I'm saying is that's the scenario. I think if they win, I think that's what it looks like. I think that's how we get that win. Like, I don't foresee another shootout and the Browns winning that. I think if the Seahawks come out here and they score 25 points, I think the Browns probably would end up losing that game. So, man, our scores have been so off recently, but obviously scores are so hard to predict. For me, for the score in this game, I think the Browns are going to blow it 27-24. I think they're going to give up a little bit more than they'd like to. I think the defense is overall going to play well, but the Seahawks are a good team. They're going to give up, I think, a few possessions more than they'd like to. So I see the Seahawks scoring about 27, 24 points. The Browns somewhere between 21 and 24.
So just to clarify, though, when I said 2017, though, I actually think the offense is going to have that turnover that lets the defense score an easy touchdown. So I do think the defense plays really well.